All right, let's kick it off. Thanks everyone for coming. Can we all please stand for the opening prayer and the original custodian statement? Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of our city. Amen. And I also wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we stand and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Do we have any apologies tonight? Councillor Jelly?
Yes, Mayor, we have an apology from Councillor Paspaliaris tonight.
All right, can we get a seconder for that? Councillor Arnott, all those in favour? Passed. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. And the recommendation is the minutes of the scheduled meeting of council held on the 8th of April 2024 be confirmed. Are there any changes? Can we have a mover? Councillor Taylor. Seconder, Councillor Arnott. All those in favour? Passed. Beautiful. Declaration by councillors and officers of any conflicts of interest tonight? No, none. All good. Move on to item 5, the mayoral presentation. And I'd just like to thank all of the leadership, Great South Coast, for coming to watch our meeting tonight. It's really great to see you guys there, especially Catherine Darkin and Kate Roach. And I'd also like to give a special mention too, as well, to Sarah Bub Dempster, our procurement officer at Warrnambool City Council, is also taking part in the program. Thank you guys so much. You're going to be our future leaders, and I really hope you guys get a lot out of the course and enjoy the meeting tonight. I would like to mention as well, just in the Mayor's report, it was a huge week in Warrnambool last week. There was a great honour there for the CEO and I at the Greyhounds with the Jack Daffy Memorial Race. That was a really special moment, especially seeing as Jack passed away. It was earlier this year, or late last year. So it was really great to actually be a part of that. May Races was huge, hit over 30,000 people coming to town over 3 days, and it was just great when you were down the CBD or out at the racetrack. Restaurants were abuzz, the city was alive. It was a really great event, and really well done to Luke and all the team out there at the race course. It was a really fun last 3 days. Also, later in the week, Councillor Jelly, I believe, as Deputy Mayor, you're going to launch the Food Cube at Archie, which is going to be a really good project for everyone out there. And next week, we're going to the MAV State Council, putting forward our Airbnb and airport funding motion. So there's a bit going on at the moment, and it's really good to see. Item 6, public question time. Mr. Mason, do you have any questions?
Through you, Mayor, we have had no questions lodged for tonight's meeting.
Beautiful. Move on to item 7, reports. Mr. Mason, 7.1, the open data policy.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a really interesting report and new policy that we're recommending that Council adopt an open data policy. The policy basically sets up the framework for the provision of council data sets, making them available to the community. It's been done to improve transparency, but will also potentially create some economic development opportunities. So the policy is there before you to adopt, should you see fit.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Any questions on that? Can we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler? What would you like?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to recommend that Council adopts the attached open data policy 2024.
Can we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Look, this is an important policy because if it wasn't there already, it should have been. It's one of those things that means that the data that we collect is very important, and it's vital to a lot of economic activity to have the information. We've got it, we collect it, have done for years. It's important background information for people. It's the sort of thing that we just should make available. I can't see that, that it should be kept quiet or hidden. It's very important, and it should be out there for everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is an important document, and I would just like to stress that the data does and will help with a lot of decisions that will affect the community. I just want to also emphasise there that it is not all of the data that we collect. There are privacy issues there, but a majority of the data. This data will help improve the effectiveness of local government and government statewide as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, I'd just like to sum up, Mayor, by saying that the specific reasons for adopting this policy is that making the information, the data available, and as Councillor Arnott has said, that which is not confidential. It stimulates economic activity, it reduces the effort required to share data with other parties who might need it for research, and improves the efficiency and effectiveness of government by encouraging better management practices and the use of the data. It helps to increase the productivity. All of those points have been made in the minutes, and I'd just like to endorse those points.
And I agree with you, Councillor Ziegler. I think it's important that the data is de-identified so it can't be actually traced to individuals. This is the first time that we've actually had an open data policy here at Warrnambool City Council. It's surprising we haven't had one before. And it's something that means that some of the data that we do collect will actually be available in the public domain, which is great, whether it's on trees, whether it's on pets, on a range of different things, and will actually help inform decision-making, not just for council, but for other bodies as well moving forward. And it's also something, especially being in the public domain, council can use to strengthen its arguments and provide backing for projects. With no other councillors wish to speak, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Move on to 7.2, Asset Management Policy Review. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. The council has obviously a large number of assets, and it's important that we have an asset management policy. Council's obviously had one previously. That policy has been reviewed, and it's recommended that council adopt the reviewed policy, which reflects some relatively minor changes from the previous policy. The recommendation is before you in two parts.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I would like to move a motion that 1, Council adopt the revised Asset Management Policy 2024, and that 2, Council revoke the previously adopted Asset Management Policy. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Taylor.
The existing policy had been in place for 4 years, and this review has enabled the document to be streamlined and reworded without wholesale changes to the intended outcomes of the policy. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Arnott.
No, I think I'll just agree with everything my colleague has said. Thank you.
Any other councillor wish to speak? And I do think that the updated policy hopefully does reflect council's need to respond to community need better moving forward. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor Blaine.
All right, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 7.3, revocation of short stay accommodation local law. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks to conclude what has been a fairly lengthy process. As councillors would be aware, direction was given that you wanted to revoke the existing short stay accommodation or a short stay accommodation local law. The process for doing that has been followed, and it's recommended that you adopt the revocation local law 2024, which has effect of effectively cancelling or getting rid of the existing short stay accommodation local law. As councillors are aware, but in terms of making sure that everyone's clear, is that this has become necessary because the state government has introduced a short stay accommodation levy that they're saying will be introduced in January next year. And we, as a council, could no longer have a levy that was in conflict with theirs. So, recommendation is before you, that you effectively adopt the new local law.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Arnott. Seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I wish to make the recommendation, move the motion that council adopt the Revocation Local Law 2024.
Oh, cool, sorry. And you're happy to still second, Councillor Ziegler? Sorry, I got a bit ahead of myself there. Go, Councillor Arnott.
Thank you. As our CEO has said, this revocation law has come about because the Victorian state government has decided to make redundant our local laws. They've stepped into this space. When we first moved this local law, the intent was to provide some regulation into an industry that actually had none. And in September, the Vic government announced a new state-based levy would be introduced on short stay accommodation, 7.5% levy, expected to raise the government $70 million. The revenue is intended to be transferred to Homes Victoria to be invested in social and affordable housing options, a very worthy cause, and I would hope that we would see 25% of those funds indeed in the regional areas of Victoria. And I also just want to note there is a financial impact with this decision, and as of December 2023, we've had 139 properties were registered with council generating funds up to 55,600. It's difficult now for council to manage issues associated with this type of accommodation, such as noise and parking, which will now be referred to the Vic Police and other government bodies. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, the revocation of the law that we made is basically a housekeeping issue. Councillor Arnott's quite right, it was going to take us a little bit of effort and some difficulty to administer our law in the first place, but the state government basically came to the party and instituted their own law, which makes ours a little bit redundant. Initially, we were trying to bring the short stay accommodation into some sort of a regulated space which didn't exist beforehand, and the state government's done that for us, so I'm more than happy to second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jelly.
Totally agree. The information two councillors have given there, I think with the state bringing in their levy, I think that a lot of municipalities around the state have wanted that in a way. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be one thing, the same rule across the state, which that's going to be. But my only fear is that my only hope is that we get that, some of that funding that they're promising. I'd really like to see where that goes, and hope they're accountable for doing that, because I think it's really important to, especially in the regions, to get that funding. So that'll be watch this space. Hopefully that all goes ahead well.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. This law had its problems right from the word go when our council was hesitant in putting this law through, but it's a good finish now that the state government has introduced the law right throughout Victoria, and whereas previously there was only pockets along the coastline mainly that had this accommodation local law. So it's good, it's statewide, and I totally agree with Councillor Jolly that we should receive some benefit from the government once the law is imposed. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I'd just like to add this, it's the third time this has been back to us. Last time we went to go and get legal advice about the revocation of the local law. We've been out to consultation, we've ticked all the boxes. We had to pretty well follow the process to bring it in. It's the same process to take it out. We've finally hit the final step there now. On the back of the government, state government, bringing in the 7.5% levy, which, you know, at this point in time, it looks like only 25% of that will be returned to the regions, and we'd like to see, you know, with over 50% of Airbnbs being in the regions, we'd like to see that, you know, that money reinvested back into the regions, especially when you start comparing our, you know, how we deliver our services compared to metros, and that's something we'll be pushing at the MAV State Conference later in the month. Councillor Arnott, do you have anything to close?
I don't think there's anything further to say, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. 7.4, Warrnambool Event Strategy 2024-2028. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. And I think, as you noted in your Mayor's report, events are an incredibly important part of both the economy but also the lifestyle and attraction of Warrnambool. And so we have been developing an event strategy that seeks to attract new events, especially in the winter months, and to use events as a way of driving longer overnight stays and showcase our great city. The strategy has been subject to public consultation, and following a lengthy development process, it's recommended now that Council adopt the new events strategy.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? We have a mover. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I'd like to move a motion that Council adopts the Warrnambool Events Strategy 2024-2028 and writes back to all those who submitted to the consultation of the draft document as per the officer's recommendation be accepted. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I am pleased to adopt the 2024-28 strategy as it outlines how the city's events and promotion team will focus on supporting the growth and attraction of destination events and placing more emphasis on new events. The 4 strategy priorities over the coming 4 years will be to maximise events' contribution to the local economy, empower and enable community and industry leaders to deliver successful events, and ensure events are socially, environmentally and economically sustainable. Following the release of the draft for public consultation, 15 responses were received with overall feedback supporting the strategy with some minor adjustments and inclusions recommended. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, while the events strategy is good, and I like the look of it, I like the feel of it, all of that, and we got some good submissions back. I believe that we didn't quite get as many as we have for other particular community consultation issues, but the submissions we did receive were creative, they were involved, and it showed that they were connected with what we're trying to get at. And I think that it's valuable to have the strategy there, and it supports all we're on about promoting Warrnambool and promoting events, particularly during the winter months.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jelly?
Yes, it's very much identified that the work that our, the Warrnambool City Council events and promotion team do is very, very important. What they do, as previously as we've known that, but planning ahead, they not only, run our own events for Warrnambool City Council, but they get involved in community events that are predominantly run by groups, but they assist in giving advice. So they're an integral team to Warrnambool City Council, and as we've all just said, attracting new events and supporting local events to grow the economy, and also, most importantly, bringing together events for our local community to enjoy as well. They might be small events, they might be a free event that someone who perhaps couldn't afford to go to something might be able to go to. It's good for the health and wellbeing of our community to enjoy. So I think the strategy is great. Thank you for the 15 responses that came back. Thank you very much to the events team, and look forward to some new things happening and continuing with other ones.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Go, Councillor Arnott.
Thank you. I just want to support everything my colleagues have said, but I just want to highlight the importance of actually having a strategy. Without a strategy, we're searching blindly. So now we've got a strategy, we've got a formula, we can follow that, we have something to work towards. It's been an in-depth process carried out by the team, and I'd like to thank them for the work that they've put into that. So now we've got this strategic document, outlines the priorities for the next 4 years, and it now underpins how we will now promote our city with our events and the outcomes that we are looking for. So I'd just like to highlight that it is an important document. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Kush.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it is, as my colleague have alluded to it, it is a well-written document, and it is really very important to have this kind of document. Of course, community events is part and parcel of social life, and it's important for mental health and well-being to people as social beings. In this document, it seemed one of the things stood out for me is council taking a supported lead instead of leading the events, organizing the events, and not leaving it to individuals to at their risk and wishes. So we have example existed before. You have Fun for Kids, which generated a lot of, a lot of economy. People coming to Warrnambool spend their money, and also it was fun and it was good for both adults and children, but it is not there anymore. And also Warrnambool was known with multicultural festivals, which was really good to see, and also hope to exist if need be in future. So with all these things, I'm in supportive of the document, and also with the hope that in coming future things may change and for the better. And yeah, I support this document. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kush. And I'd just like to add that based on the feedback, there were some extra inclusions, including hockey and bowls, into the sports part of the strategy. And also there was a community events push that was seen from the strategy, and that's been heard, and there has been a commitment for a community event every year, because as Councillor Jelly said, it's a really, really important part of our events. So, your feedback is important, and it really has helped shape what this final strategy has looked like. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor Blaine.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 7.5, Council Plan 2021-2024. Mr Mason.
Mayor, the council plan is obviously the key strategic document for council. Every year, council officers review the plan and discuss new actions and initiatives with councillors. It's recommended that council seek community feedback on the proposed draft new actions and initiatives before that would come back to council. So recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'd like to move the motion that this report provides that council considers the revised actions and initiatives in the council plan 2021 to 2025 and releases the revised plan for community feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. The council plan, it is an important document. It's reviewed annually. It's a strategic guide for council to look at the initiatives and activities. We now need to release the revised plan for community consultation. So I urge anyone in the community that has a special interest in this to actually lodge a submission and give us your feedback. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, like Councillor Arnott, I encourage everyone to have a look at this and give us their feedback. We looked at this initially in 2020 back then, and a lot's happened since then. So we've all lived through COVID-19 and still are in some ways, but so things have changed. So the relevancy and what's important and changed in life in the last 4 years needs to reflect in here as well. So yes, very much encourage people to have a look at it.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have any other councillor? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, the recommendation suggests that it be released to the revised plan to the community for feedback, and as we've already learned tonight, community feedback has a real effect for council decisions, and I think that it's incredibly important given that this council plan affects most areas, most people in the town, and we need them to tell us basically how they want it organised. I think that the feedback is very important, and I'm urging everyone to have a look at it and make a comment.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add that the council plan is really about the outcomes that we're trying to achieve as a council in our community, and it's something that's said at the start of our term. We're into our last year now, and this guides the budget and how things are resourced, and these are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. So if you do have any feedback, please let us know, because it can shape what what it looks like for this last year of this council term. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to say anything to close?
No, I think it's all been said. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 7.6, Council Plan Actions 2023-2024, January to March, Q3.
Mayor, this is a fairly simple report. This is part of our quarterly reporting on council plan actions, and it's recommended that the report be received.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I'd like to move a motion that the council plan actions 2023-2024 January to March quarter be received. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. This report, information on the progress in achieving the actions set down, excuse me, for the 2023-2024 as part of the council plan and progress, and give a brief insight into the extensive range of works, services and projects undertaken by the organisation for the community. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Ziegler? No. Any other councillor wish to speak? All right. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to close?
No, thank you, Mayor Blaine.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Move on to item 7.7, draft budget. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. As you would be aware, Mayor and councillors, after a significant period of budget development and workshopping the draft budget with councillors, I'm pleased to say that the 2024-25 draft budget is now ready for exhibition. The council budget is being impacted by rate capping and inflationary pressures. Despite these impacts, I'm confident that the draft budget is structured in a way to ensure that council can continue to deliver the vital services and infrastructure that our community requires. It's noted in the recommendation that officers have recommended that the existing small infrastructure fund be ceased. This is both a reflection on the budgetary situation or the tight budget that we face, but more importantly, it's around preparing ourselves for the introduction of wards, which will come into effect after the next election. So the recommendation is before councils. It's in 4 parts, effectively giving effect to the fact that we will put the budget out for exhibition before it returns to a meeting in June for adoption, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I would like to move the recommendation that Council Number 1 place the 2024-25 draft budget on exhibition for a period of 2 weeks and invite submissions from the public. 2, give public notice of its intention to adopt its budget at the June council meeting, subject to any changes. 3, hear any submissions received about the draft budget at a hearing on Monday, 20th May 2024 at 5:45 p.m. in council chambers. And 4, give notice of the proposed cessation of the small infrastructure fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. First of all, I just want to congratulate all those involved, the exec team and the people working under them, about this budget. I think they've worked diligently to provide a balanced budget under difficult conditions. I feel the budget is financially responsible, and even though, as our CEO has alluded to, there have been negative impacts affecting the budget, council is not immune to those. You know, we've had rising construction costs, as well as state government charges to absorb, and, you know, things like the work cover premium, the electoral commission cost, compliance and regulation costs. And at the same time, we've also had to contend with diminishing grant opportunities from the government. The budget does go on exhibition for 2 weeks, and I strongly invite the community to offer any submissions they may have. I just also want to make note, as our CEO has alluded to, about the small infrastructure fund. It's due to the return of wards, electoral wards, in the next election, and we're looking at this as a fair distribution across the wards, and those funds are going to be returned to cash reserves. So thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, I just endorse the comments made by my fellow councillor, Mayor. I think that it's a very responsible budget, a draft budget. Again, I call on our community to actually have a look at it and prepare submissions to comment on the budget. I'd like to commend the staff that have developed this. I think that they've done a terrific job. We've been very conscious of rising costs, and we've actually had, they've heeded our calls to pull our heads in and keep it manageable so that the stress is not felt as hard as it could have been on our community.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, we've, as a councillor group, we've worked together with our staff, executive staff and CEO and everyone over the last more or less 8, 9, 10 months. And this is probably the best year we've worked through. I think we've learned a lot over the last few years, but it's been made a lot clearer to us. And we've had a lot of time to discuss this at our briefings and meetings about it. So I think that's been really good. Yes, as we've all alluded to, we've got a lot of financial restrictions, very little in state and federal government money to assist projects, rising costs in construction. So we've had to look at many things that, you know, are perhaps 30% more than what we thought they were going to be and consider those projects. Again, I would encourage everyone to have a look at it. The Small Infrastructure Fund, which has been a very important fund for the last 10 years, it's been great for community groups. It's disappointing it has to change how it is now, but as we've said, because of the ward setup, it's going to have to change. Also, the Victorian Auditor General's Office did not really recommend to have this sort of fund when across the board many municipalities were looked at. So it's under their advice as well that it fits in with this. So it's important that we heed that information. But a lot of community groups have benefited from, you know, these last years. It's been great and exciting to have those groups to come in here when they've been had some of those funds distributed. It has been a very valuable fund. But encourage everyone to have a look at this budget and give some feedback and put in a submission if you feel you would like to.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Akush.
Through you, Mayor. I will add my voice to my colleagues and to congratulate the staff that prepared the budget. It is all of us agree that it is a responsible budget, which I hope will generate a lot of comment from the community to put their input as well and make it better. The only thing I have seen, and I agree with my colleague Jedi, about the Small Infrastructure Fund, which is it will make a gap in the community because it helps a lot in doing a small project for the community. To be non-exist is a bit of loss to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Akush. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
I'll just have a second bite at the cherry here, Mayor. Basically, I was interested to note in our briefing notes with this that for every $100 in taxes paid by Victorian residents, council rates make up approximately $3.50. The other $96.50 is made up by state and Commonwealth government taxes. So really, it's a small proportion. However, it's worthy of note when we look at that Warrnambool Council has actually maintained most of its services, particularly in the aged care sector, even with our tight budget.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I would like to endorse my fellow councillors' comments, and also I would like to encourage interested community members seeking to view the budget may access it electronically, also in a hard copy at Council's Service Centre, and those who wish to present their views in person can be invited to attend a hearing of submissions on Monday, the 20th of May. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. And I'd just like to add that, as Councillor Ziegler said, the way the budget sits in its current draft form, we, as a council, have managed to maintain all their services. It actually was really exciting last month or the month before when we decided to increase our, we're going to be increasing our presence within aged care services as well. But moving forward, but moving forward with the budget, it's really important that, don't just be a Facebook warrior. If you actually want to have influence and actually make your submission be heard, put it into, it'll be up on Your Say Warrnambool, put it into Your Say Warrnambool, and actually make sure your feedback counts, because I think that, I think that if you're going to put your view forward, let us know. And even the small infrastructure fund, it's been, as Councillor Jelly said, it's been something, and Councillor Kush, it's been something that's been really great for a lot of community groups, but it's probably not something that's fit for purpose as we move towards. We have got advice from Vargo on this as well. It doesn't mean that council can't continue to support those groups. It just means that we'll be taking a different process that won't be that fund. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, just endorse that, we do invite public commentary here, so put in a submission. It is important. It's a very important document that affects all of the Warrnambool City.
Thank you. All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. 7.8, the quarterly financial report, January to March 2024. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, part of our quarterly reporting to council, the latest quarterly finance report, which is attached for council to receive. The report shows that council is still in a strong financial position, with a favourable position compared to forecast budget. So the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Arnott. Seconder? Seconder? Oh, sorry, go. Councillor Arnott, sorry.
I'd like to remove the recommendation that the quarterly financial report for the period January to March 2024 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. As the CEO said, it's a pretty straightforward document. It compares actual financials to budget and forecast for the 3 months, January to March. We seem to be travelling along okay, so happy to support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, this report meets the requirements of Section 97 of the Local Government Act to present a quarterly financial report. I don't think there's any more that needs to be said.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add that we are with supplementary rates 76,000 favourable to forecast. There have been some favourable and some unfavourable variances across a range of different businesses and services and winter solstice and some other things, but council's pretty well on track to where it's supposed to, where we were expecting it to be from last year's budget. Councillor Arnott, do you have anything to add before we close?
No, thanks.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.9, the Warrnambool Sale Yard's highest and best use master plan. Mr Mason.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, this report recommends that council adopt the Warrnambool Sale Yard's highest and best use master plan. The master plan reflects that the future use of the former Sale Yard's land and surrounding land, privately owned land, is best used for residential, largely residential land uses, but also some elements of commercial and, in fact, public use around the stadium area. The plan has been subject to consultation, which resulted in some changes and refinements to the master plan before you. If adopted, this is an important milestone, but it's important to also note that if council chooses to adopt the master plan, that will trigger some further additional planning work that would be required to support a future rezoning of the land. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the recommendation that council adopt the Warrnambool Sale Yard's highest and best use master plan document and commence the next phase of strategic and structure planning work for the study area.
Thank you, councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, what an exciting prospect that is before us. We now have an opportunity to shape this piece of land and contribute to the growth and prosperity of Warrnambool. I would like to thank Insight Planning on this document for the highest and best use for this land. An extensive piece of work which they have undertaken. The master plan predominantly features a residential development, which we are all aware that we're in a critical stage here in Warrnambool. We are very short of housing. We've got a small convenience centre located on the corner of Coghlan's Road and Caramit Road, and adjacent commercial uses along Caramit Road. Now, the plan also does allow for the expansion of the indoor sports stadium, but it does not propose any residential development along Caramit Road. I think that's been a very sensible move. And it will also help lessen impacts to the existing businesses along that road. And in a response to a submission from an existing business requiring a larger site, that plan has been altered to include additional commercial land within the sale yard site. So as we have said, once this plan is adopted, there will be more work done on further strategic planning, and we'll look forward to exploring further land uses and rezoning, as well as technical assessments. And I'm pleased that there will be further community and landowner engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Arnott. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. The Warrnambool Sale Yard's highest and best use master plan document identifies appropriate land uses for the study area and is recommended for adoption. The next phase of strategic planning work will enable a further level of detail to be fleshed out for the precinct and produce an urban layout and structure to support future zonings. Further community and landowner engagement will be included in the next phase of strategic work. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly.
Yes, this is a very important piece of work that's been diligently looked at over the last months. 7 responses were received online, and 2 individual meetings held with landowners and businesses in the precinct area. Yes, predominantly residential planning for this, but I was personally very pleased to see that there was some light industrial there as well on Caramit Road, which fits in with what is already there on the other side of the road. I think that should work well, because I know there's a need still in that area for some light industrial businesses, and people are interested in that. So, and it also identifies that the Warrnambool Stadium has some room for growth there, which it needs, because the community has grown and this housing will grow, and across the bridge has grown there, the housing has grown there. So the stadium will need some expansion there. It's a great stadium, and it's well utilised, but it needs updating and growth, so it identifies that that in the plan there. So look forward to, if this goes through this evening, to what it triggers next, and further planning in that area, which is great for the city.
Thank you, councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Yeah, it was interesting, Mayor, that the comments that we received back, and there were only 7, seemed to be quite diverse in their responses and comments about it. Some looked at housing alternatives, some looked at no housing and light industrial instead, some looked at recommending it becomes a sporting precinct, including indoor and outdoor pools and indoor tennis and a community hub and all the rest of it. It was just, I found it fascinating that there was such a wide range of submissions made through the USA website. All I can say about it is that it's an incredibly valuable asset to us and we need to make it the best possible benefit for the town.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add, it's still the early stages of this planning at this point in time. There are, there were some minor changes from where we got to with this consultation with the addition of that extra commercial piece of land. And there are a couple of other zonings in that area as well. But, I think this is key to, working out what the future direction of the site could look like. And as both Councillor Jelly and Councillor Arnott have pointed out, it is key too that we look at the future growth of any council assets that are there, like the stadium, and because this is community land, and we've got to be able to prepare for what our city needs as we continue to move forward. We don't want to see our stadium being landlocked, and I think looking at where we are at the moment, it really does show that we're thinking forward about where we're actually going. Plus going through the plan, if any other sites come up, council be in a position to be able to add on to what that area will look like. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
Only to just really endorse this plan again. I think it ticks all the boxes. I think there's been a lot of consideration put into it. We've identified, of course, the stadium. We need light industrial. We definitely need some residential going in there as well. So I think it ticks all the boxes. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 7.10, Warrnambool Sale Yards Truck Wash Future Operations Consideration. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. With the decommissioning of the former Sale Yards site being well advanced and an expectation that staff will no longer be located at that site in the near future, we have done a review of the existing truck wash facility that was provided there and was located there largely to support the Sale Yards operation. Officers recommend that the existing truck wash at the site be closed and decommissioned. This is largely because we are seeing significant or expecting to see increasing costs. The ageing nature of the plant and equipment at the sale yards would mean increased maintenance, or in fact an expensive, new expensive equipment being needed, and that is being coupled with the fact that we've seen really significant a decline in usage of the facility. So it's recommended that we notify users or regular users of the facility that we plan to close the truck wash no later than the end of December. The recommendation is before you in 4 parts.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I would like to move the recommendation that 1, that regular livestock transporters utilising the site and the Australian Livestock Transporters Association be notified in writing of Council's intent to close the operations of the Warrnambool Sale Yards Truck Wash and Effluent Dump Point at the latest by 31 December 2024 at the Caramit Road facility, and 2, that the truck wash plant located at the site be decommissioned. 3, that a rehabilitation and use plan for the site be included in future planning for the overall master plan exercise for the Caramit Road site. And 4, that the CEO be authorised to cease operations at an earlier date if deemed appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you. As of the end of June, there will be no longer staff on site to oversee this operation. and while the decommissioning has been happening, the staff have maintained the truck wash. Declining use and increased operating costs clearly indicate the need to cease these operations, and alternate providers do exist elsewhere, such as Mortlake, Camperdown, Hamilton, Casterton, Mount Gambier and Colac. I am pleased that council officers have met with the Midfield Group, as they are the key user of the site, and officers have been informed that the Midfield Group have plans to develop their own truck wash for their fleet. I'd like to make note that the truck wash is not a core business of council. The future operations, if we keep it going, project increasing financial losses to council, and with increasing costs and lower utilisation and future significant capital expenditure. And our loss is estimated for the 24-25 year to be 117,000 So it is important that this truck wash has an end of life and it is closed by December 31st. It's a prudent and financially sound decision to cease operation, and I fully support this motion. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly?
Yes, Councillor Arnott's comments very much reflect what I have here, same sort of thing, so I won't repeat everything, but I totally agree there. The usage of the truck wash has declined by half over the past year or so, and projection of 117,000 loss operating costs is, that cannot happen. It fits in with the planning that we just previously talked about with the sale yards highest and best use master plan, fits in with that, and yes, others in the region will be consulted and be told that this is going to close, and I think that the staff finished there on the 30th of June, so I think it fits in with all those things that are happening.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add to this. Look, I understand, and as Councillor Arnott pointed out, it isn't a core service of council, and it will be an inconvenience for some of the users out of that site. I'm not oblivious to that, but moving forward, there are other options. And, as a council, we're trying to give lead time so that other arrangements can be worked out. Even though we're going to cease having staff staff on site, technically we're meant to finish having staff on site from June 2024. We have got the option to run till the end of the year until other facilities are built or there are other options on the table. So, we are working to, we are trying to give everyone as much lead time as possible. We're not just trying to take it away. And the other key thing I would like to say about the site as well is there still will be parking there as well, and, we'll still be using AVData keys, so there will be some truck parking there, for a while at the site. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
I don't think so, Mayor Blaine. It's all been covered, thank you.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Arnott, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Jelly, Councillor Kush. For and against, Councillor Ziegler. Motion is carried. Item 7.11, Audit and Risk Committee Charter Update. Mr Mason.
Thank you. The Audit and Risk Charter sets out the roles and functions of the committee. Following a review, a new charter has been written and tabled with the committee who are supportive. It's recommended that council adopt the charter and revoke the previous charter.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I'd like to move a motion that Council 1... Oh my God, I've lost my notes. Oh, sorry, okay. The Council 1 adopt the attached Audit and Risk Committee Charter dated May 2024, and 2, revoke any previously adopted Audit and Risk Committee Charter as per the officer's recommendation be accepted. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Can we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. The Audit and Risk Committee charter has been reviewed by officers and the Audit and Risk Committee. The charter was submitted to the Audit and Risk Committee's March meeting for the committee's consideration. The committee at the March meeting endorsed the officers' amendments to the charter and recommended some further changes and that it be presented to council for their adoption. This review has resulted in a number of recommended changes. The most substantial include changes to the quorum requirements to make achieving a quorum easier, mandating that members provide formal apologies to the chairperson if they are unable to attend, and the automatic removal of members from the committee who missed 2 consecutive meetings without providing written notice to the chairperson. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, this again is really probably a little bit of housekeeping, but it makes perfect sense that the review has resulted in some substantial changes, most particularly to the requirements for quorum and official apologies, and that members who don't attend for 2 consecutive meetings are automatically removed. It makes the operation of a very important committee, the Audit and Risk Committee, much more workable if the people who are supposed to be on it actually attend.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? As a member of the committee, I would just like to add that it's good to see the charter's been updated. It's been tidied up in a range of different ways as well. And the quorum requirements are really important, and it is something that will be reviewed within the next 12 months as well. That is a part of the charter in order to make sure it's up to date, especially being one of the statutory committees that we actually have to have under the Local Government Act. And so, yeah, that looks good. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor Blaine.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.12, award of contract 2024029 West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Following a public tender process, it is recommended that council award a contract to Modular Spaces for a building to be used for the West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House. It is noted that the tender price is higher than budget, which is reflective of high costs in the building sector, and also the need to meet specifications contained in the building in various building codes. The recommendation also contains provision that the CEO be authorised to approve any additional necessary expenditure, such as utility constructions, up to a total cost of $400,000. So recommendation before councillors in 4 parts.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? We have a mover. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to put forward the officer's recommendation that council, number 1, award contract number 2024029, design and construction West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House to Modular Spaces Proprietary Limited for the contract amount of $631,430, excluding GST, with a total delegated award value of $694,573, including GST. 2, accept the schedule of rates offered to undertake any extra works over and above the lump sum price if required, provided that the additional works can be accommodated within the project budget. 3, authorise the CEO to sign, seal and vary the contract as required. And 4, work outside the contract up to the value of $400,000, excluding GST, as part of this project are approved.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you. As I've just mentioned, the recommendation to award the contract to design and construct of the West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House to Modular Spacious Proprietary Limited. As the CEO indicated, unfortunately, costs have escalated, which is across the board in many projects. The Warrnambool City Council projects team, under the guidance from Infrastructure Directorate, have diligently undertaken a higher level scope of works for this important project. Through their investigations, they have identified additional requirements to ensure this community facility meets the needs of all users and stakeholders, ensuring a fit-for-purpose quality building. The reputation of the tender awardees and their works is highly consistent and deliverable in deliverable timeframes, and their quality is well known across the sector. So we're going to be getting a very well built, fit for purpose building, ensuring that we do get that. This project, once completed, will support one of our city's most needs supported areas, who will benefit greatly by having its own designated home. They are already, and as we know, been operating as the West Warrnambool Community House since 2019, and because of restrictions of space for them, they've been without a proper home for quite a while now. So this will give them the home. We look forward to it coming together. We thank the projects team for working through this to making sure we're going to have a fit-for-purpose, well-used facility for our community.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I too am very happy to support this tender award. This project has taken an extraordinary amount of time and effort to get to this stage. The tender that has been put forward is a quality build. It'll be well built and fit for purpose. There's no doubting the benefit that this community house will be to the West Warrnambool neighbourhood, and having their own designated space, and the programs that will be able to be delivered from that space will be invaluable. I do note that an additional amount of $400,000 has been allocated for the likes of service connections, lighting, security, fencing, landscaping. I'm disappointed that such an amount is further needed, but I am comfortable that the facility being delivered will be of enormous advantage to the community. And I am very hopeful that it will be delivered by September 30. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add this will give the West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House a home, and I do think it's really important that, you know, the people of West Warrnambool actually have somewhere to go, and, you know, hopefully it's the first step in you know, what the facility could look like as we continue to move forward. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Councillor Arnott?
Yes, look, there was a lot of community consultation in this process over the last year or so. It has, you know, this project has been talked about since we got into council 3.5 years ago, and there's been a lot of things happen, working together with the West Warrnambool Committee and associated staff. Yes, it is disappointing that it is going to cost more, but I think the benefit far outweighs the benefit to the community far outweighs this, and I think it's a project we want to see through to the end. And like Councillor Arnott, let's hopefully see it open and operational in September.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 7.13, the Banyan Street tree replacement. Mr Mason.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. This report recommends the removal and replacement with coastal banksia trees of the existing flowering gum trees in Banyan Street. This is considered necessary and is recommended by officers because the flowering gums have unfortunately not proven to be a suitable tree species in that location, and they are in poor health. And so it's recommended that we replace them with a consistent species of tree that will give effect to the avenue treatment that we are looking for.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Yes, I would like to move the officer's recommendation that council endorses the removal of the existing red flowering gum street trees in Banyan Street, replacing them with coastal banksias.
Can we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jelly.
Yes. As the CEO put forward, that the red flowering gums planted in the centre of the median strip along Banyan Street have failed for quite a few reasons. They haven't, they've been in poor condition, perhaps disease, and most disturbingly, vandalism, which is very disappointing. They haven't survived there. So upon appropriate advice, it's been decided that the coastal banksias will now be planted, so hopefully they will flourish, and it is a popular street to go down. If you're coming into town from for a holiday or anything going down there, it would be lovely to see them survive and flourish there. So hopefully that's what happens.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, it's a shame that the eucalypts didn't take very well. They've struggled a bit, not only because it's an exposed area, but also because of the vandalism. I hope that the choice of the banksia helps to avoid some of those problems. It's worthy of note that the coastal banksia we've chosen is endemic to this area and may have a better chance of thriving along that particular strip. It's always a battle, and I find it a difficulty when removing trees, but in this case I think it's a wise choice because we've got something that'll probably thrive.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott.
I endorse what my fellow councillors have said. I just want to add in there that the cost to council to supply and plant these trees is in council's annual tree planting program, so it is a budgeted cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I travelled down Banyan Street last week and I was dismayed to see how many of the original eucalypts have survived. It'd be no more than a handful, so I believe as soon as the banksias are planted, the better, because most tourists who come to Warrnambool travel down Banyan Street from the highway to Marai Street. So I believe this has to happen as soon as possible rather than later. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add, it's really interesting how the red flowering gums actually ended up there, because on November 2018, Council commenced consultation to the residents up Banyan Street between the Princess Highway and the Foreshore area, and they included 4 options, which were the Norfolk Island pine, the coastal banksia, brush box and fan palm to residents. And it was interesting because after all that consultation, everything, council actually resolved to go to the red flowering gums. And we can see why it wasn't one of the options now, because if you look up Banyan Street, you know, it looks like a desert. There's not a lot of trees up there. So, you know, I am hopeful that the coastal Banksias are going to have a way better effect and are going to look way nicer up Banyan Street. And maybe it won't look like so much of a desert. Councillor Jelly, do you wish to have anything to close?
No, I think everything's been said and we look forward to them.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 7.14, Advisory Committee reports. Mr Mason.
Largely a procedural matter, Mayor. This is just the cycling reference group minutes that need to be received.
Thank you. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'd like to move the motion that the minutes of the Cycling Reference Group meeting held on 14 March 2024 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Seconder. Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
No, thank you.
Councillor Ziegler.
Nope.
Any other councillor wish to speak? Go, Councillor Taylor.
Reading through the agenda, I noticed the speeding bikes on the promenade remains a problem. And I've seen this problem resolved in a promenade up at Mooloolaba where bike riders are ordered to get off their bikes and wheel their bikes along certain sections of the promenade. So I'd like to see maybe one day if the bike riders continue to abuse the speed limit on the promenade, maybe in the future they can be told to get off their bikes and wheel their bikes on part of the promenade. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you for raising that, Councillor Taylor. And any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly.
I just wonder if Councillor Taylor will be the one policing that. It'd be a great job in retirement for you.
Thank you.
Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott? No.
Happy to close, thank you.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 7.15, informal meetings of council. Mr Mason.
Very simple. There are 3 informal meeting records to be received.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, I'll move that the officer's recommendation be received.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Jelly. Any Councillor Ziegler, Jelly? Any other councillor? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 7.16, Mayoral and Chief Executive Council Activity Summary Report. Mr Mason.
Just another busy month, as you would well know, Mayor. And so the summary report is there for your for councillors to receive.
Thank you, Mr Mason. I do have one amendment before the we do it, and the amendment is on the 26th of April, the opening of the CNC Shipwreck exhibition. There was also, Councillor Koish was also there, and so was Councillor Taylor.
And Councillor Ziegler attended afterwards.
You were there after I left. Okay, and Councillor Ziegler. So we just put that amendment in, whoever wants to move it. Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'll move that the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report as well as the amendments be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Beautiful. Councillor Ziegler, seconds. No one wishes to speak. We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 8, notices of motion.
No motions have been received by me.
General business. Has anyone got any general business for the May meeting? And I'm guessing there's no urgent business?
Yeah, no urgent business.
And thank you to everyone who's come, including Leadership Great South Coast. Good luck with the rest of everything that you're doing, and that's the close of the meeting. Thanks so much.